All right, so now we're going to look at various baguettes that we see out in the marketplace. We're going to take a look at some of the commercially high-speed produced baguettes, which I would categorize these three as. And then we're going to get into sort of maybe artisan-like or something similar, and then we'll get into variations on artisan. So what I see here are these are made at high speed. You can see the volume is much different. You can see the variation in color. You can also see a very thin, if you take a close look at this, very thin crust, which some people like, depends what you're using it for. But you're not going to see a lot of structure that we're going to have in some of these artisan breads. Then we're going to move to this, which I know is made by a bakery that does do a lot of artisan breads, but this looks like a quicker process than what I've seen in the past. So as you can see, you got some of the characteristics of these breads here, but also the characteristics of some of the artisan. And then this is from a bakery I know follows a very similar process that we do, but just manufactured differently. As you can see, this is a cut style where it has squared edges, but I know that the interior structure is going to be, and the flavor is going to be similar, but not exact to ours. And then we have our Brea Bakery, our standard Brea Bakery baguette here. Okay, so now that we've cut all the baguettes, we can kind of look at the interior structure and characteristics of all of these. As you can see, there's a wide range here. But you know, these three right here that are that sort of high-speed commercial, which sometimes referred to as Mechatherm, but Mechatherm is just a company that makes equipment, not a style of baking. But these are very dense and made at high speed, lots of yeast in there, and most likely a lot of chemical additives and dough conditioners. So you can see tight hole structure, thin crust, like I said before, some people might like that. These were baked or came in at various degrees of color. For whatever reason, I'm unsure, but I baked these according to their specifications, so you can see a wide range of color and the tight interior structure. Now we're getting into what I was referring to as artisan-like, a company that does do artisan process, but this particular item looks like it was made a little quicker. You can see there's some attributes of the tight interior structure. You do get a little of the artisan look on the exterior, but you sacrifice on sort of crumb structure there. And then this, where I said, is a very artisan process, and it's also the cut style baguette. You're able to get a lot more water into it. So here you see a nice open hole structure, which is very desirable in artisan bread. And then you see ours. Here's the difference is this is a molded baguette. That's why we have the rounded edges versus the cut baguette. And we also have very pronounced scoring. But we see semi-open hole structure, which is not our desired interior look. So that's something based off of a flour. I know we're in a new crop right now. So that's something that we need to work on internally. Also, what's interesting to see is the color differences, right? So when you're starting to get into sort of artisan-like, you can tell the quality of ingredients. So you see the creaminess in the color, right? That's using that sort of unbleached flour with minimal processing aids. That's where you're getting that creamy color. Here you can definitely see a very white interior structure, which comes from other ingredients in there, dough conditioners, maybe even some Vita wheat gluten added to lower protein flour. So just continuing on the ingredients, so I touched on dough conditioners here. I think these uses and perhaps the customers are very different than perhaps customers looking for this. Like I said, lots of dough conditioners in here. For example, this baguette here and this baguette here are the same weight. And so you can see just through processing and ingredients, the difference between the two and how somebody might perceive they're getting more from this than they would this, or even some of our other ones here. Like this is a 9-ounce baguette. These two are 10.5-ounce baguettes. And believe it or not, this is actually a 13-ounce baguette. So you can see the variation we have there out in the marketplace through some of the artisan styles and the high-speed commercial. Careful what you're comparing, because not everything is like to like. Look at price point, look at overall visuals. Hopefully I've offered some clues where you can kind of see certain processing attributes for these various breads, but they're not all comparable.